So welcome to the video. Not done one in a while. Bit awkward speaking to the camera. The Caddy's had a really rough winter, so we're going to do some things to tidy it up a bit. So I'm going to do some little bits and pieces just to sort of tidy up the Caddy in this video. I know I said it's been a long winter, but literally this is the first opportunity where I've been off work and the weather's been good enough to do anything to sort of improve it. So let me talk you through and show you what needs doing. So first thing we're going to do is the front left tire is bald, so that needs changing. So I'm just going to run over, get that changed now before we even start the video properly. So then at least all of my tires are legal, because that one definitely isn't at the minute. The other one's fine because I got a puncture in that one. When was it? Back in November time, so that one had to get changed back in November time with the puncture that I had. We no longer have the sun strip on the front windscreen. The windscreen basically smashed, had to get replaced. So that is a new windscreen on there. Again, happened in the cold weather. It was just a crack that started at the bottom, and then within a day or so it had gone all the way across. So that's changed. What I want to look at is I've got quite a few stone chips. Again, the van's migging still, but I've got quite a few stone chips and they're starting to turn a little bit rusty, so we're going to work our way through those and see if we can tidy that up. I'm probably not the greatest person at doing that, but what I essentially want to do is stop the metal from becoming rusty and then also put some protectant over it. So that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully we can get it looking really good. But as long as it covers it, I'm not that bothered, to be honest. The car's, we're nearly at 110,000 miles on this thing now, so yeah, it's getting up there basically, but for a Caddy not so much. So yeah, tidy that up. Next thing to do is where's the keys gone? Lights. So I've got a warning light here showing that I've got some lights out. I've gone around the van and I've made a note. I've probably got 3 or 4 lights out to my reckoning. So we're going to go through and change those, put new ones in. Hopefully that'll go out once that's done. Engine management light. Now, I am probably not going to fix that in this video. The van literally needs an MOT by next week as of filming this, so it's going in anyway to get the MOT done and a service, because also it needs a service. That may just be fixed at the time, but it doesn't affect the performance again, and it's a bit different to, if you remember, if you watched these videos a while ago, if you remember, I used to have an issue where I would have the engine management light come on and it would be on for a bit and then it would go off, and it was just a reoccurring thing. It would go off for a couple of weeks, then come back on, and again a couple of weeks later go off, and it was doing that. I put it in, it needed some kind of transistor or something like that. I can't remember the part that it was affecting, but this time it's gone on and it's stayed on, and again it's been on for quite a while. Basically, driving to work one morning, it was snowing, I had the heater on full, I smelt it kind of burning, so I turned the heater off, and then the next time I drove it, the engine management light came on. So I think it might be to do with the high heat relay, but I haven't got anything to plug into the van to give me an idea or indication of what it actually is, like to get a fault code. So I'm just guessing that's what it is, but I'll probably just wait for the service to have that sorted out. And then that should take us up to everything we need to do to get the van at least okay. It needs a good wash, clean inside and out. And that should take us up to the full video. I've got some time now for the next few weeks, so I'm going to build up as many videos as I can, and hopefully I can carry us through to Christmas with weekly videos based on what I can do in the next couple of weeks when I'm off work. I've got a lot planned with the van and also with the Lotus. Don't forget the Lotus. I know some people who like the van don't really like the Lotus, but I don't really care. It's my videos. So yeah, get this sorted. I'm going to try to do them alternate weeks as well. So some weeks will be the one week will be the Lotus, one week will be the van, one week will be the Lotus, one week will be the van, and I'm going to try to do some short content as well in between the weeks, just to keep the channel going. So that's the plan. That's where we're at currently. Let's go get the tyre, and then from reading the instructions about the chip stuff, that's probably going to take me about 3 days to do, because you need to wait for each part to dry during the process. So sort out the rust, then the primer, then the coat of paint, and then the lacquer, and I'm sure it's saying like 24 hours for each one. So go do that. Whilst we're doing that, and whilst we're in between that, we can sort out the lights and things. Hopefully one of the lights will go at least. So that's the tyre done. So swap over, change for a new one. And now onto the stone chips. So I've got a couple up there on the roof as well. I'm going to start on the worst ones first, get them done, and then if I have to come back and do the other ones later on, then that'll be the way it gets done. So I'm going to start with the worst ones first of all. We're going to treat the rust. So I've bought this to treat the rust with, or convert it, and then once we've done that, we're going to use this 3-stage thing. So it's got the primer, the paint, and then the lacquer. Like I said, I'm not pretending I'm an expert at this. I don't really have a clue what I'm doing, but obviously to get rid of the rusty bits and protect it is better than not doing anything. So no doubt, as with everything else I've done on the van, we'll learn as we go. Then once we've done that, we'll move on to the other areas. So like the rear lights, figure out how to get them out, change the bulbs over, and then I appear to only have like one dust cap left on the van, so I've got some dust caps, put them on. Like got the tyre done already, so yeah, we'll just work through it, try to get as much tick off the list as we can. Okay, I've just read the instructions. So first thing we're going to do is clean the area. So I've got some water and some cloth, so I'm just going to literally it'll have no dirt or grease on it, it'll have no oils or grease on it or anything like that anyway, but I'm gonna just wipe the area clean. Then we're going to use this to make sure there's no rust or loose paint or anything like that. So just clear the area with that. Then we'll apply this. Then we will once that's set for after 15 minutes, we will move on to the primer. I don't know which one out there is the primer. Then that's like an abrasive pad, so sanded flat. Add a paint layer, again sand, and then add the lacquer over the top. But bear in mind that this process says it takes, where are we here? Leave primer 24 hours to harden. Leave paint 24 hours to harden. And leave lacquer for 24 hours. So it's basically 3 days worth of stuff this is going to take. But at least we can make a start on it now, and that's what we're going to do. So now that it's clean, you're starting to get an idea of like just how many there are. So like I said, all the ones that look a bit rusty is the ones that I'm going to attempt to do first, and we're just going to use this pen, scrape them down to make sure there's nothing around, and then put the rust converter on. That should last 15 minutes, gives you a chance to do a few other things, and then we'll put the first layer of primer down and leave it for 24 hours. So see if this Okay, so I've done it as I thought the instructions said, so I actually at this stage don't know if I'm right or not with what I've done, but basically just applied the pen, scraped around the area trying to get it out, and then obviously sometimes it got stuck and I went over a little bit, but I presume, you know, I've gone along the front here, so I presume that's kind of what I need to do before I put the high build primer on. But first I'm going to treat it with this. To convert the rusty bits, and then we'll do the high build primer. Okay, so I've just used this. Firstly, the brush seemed to be stuck together at the bottom and didn't really do anything, so I had to make a lot more of a put a lot more on than I wanted to, because I had to use the middle part of the brush rather than the tip, if that makes sense. Secondly, I don't know what this big handle does. It looks like it should do something, but there's nothing in the instructions that says anything, and it doesn't appear to come off, so don't really know what that is. Thirdly, just looked at the instructions and it basically says apply the top coat the same day, but according to these instructions here, which bear in mind these are two completely separate products, but it basically says what is it, 15 minutes for the reaction to occur, repeat if needed, do not rinse, after 3 hours apply a coat of primer or rust armor. So basically I should theoretically be waiting now for 3 hours, which I don't have enough time to, so that's not going to happen. And then apply the other stuff, although I could come back tomorrow and do the rest of it, but I don't know, we'll see. Painting's not my thing. I don't really have the patience for it, to be honest, either, so we'll just see how it turns out after 15 minutes, and in the meantime I'm going to go on to do some of the other stuff that needs to be done to the van. So next thing we're going to do while we're waiting for that is to do the dust caps. Yep, that's got one. That's got one as well. Next job is we need to remove these rear lights so we can change some bulbs. I've got a list somewhere of what bulbs are out, but what we need to do first of all is figure out how to get them out. I presume this panel is clipped over the top of some screws, so I think we need to remove this first of all. Then underneath we'll find the screws we need to remove it, and we'll do it that way. But firstly we will do the number plate light, because I believe it's this one that's out. Okay, job 2 isn't working out too well either, so I've just pulled out the number plate light, removed this, and the connection basically is fairly well corroded and has snapped off. So there it is. That would be sat in there like that, and then it would go between those 2 points. So yeah, like you can see on that side, it's pretty well corroded. I'm gonna have to get a new one of them. So let's see if we can get this one to work. So next thing is to remove the rear light. So like I said, I think this is a panel cover. Oh. Okay, so I'll see if I can wiggle this out and then see if we can remove this light. I think most of my issues are on the left hand side in this light, so we'll have a look and come back to you once it's out. So with a bit of finesse we've managed to remove this piece, and then we've removed the screw here and this screw here, which is a T25. It actually might be a T26, to be honest. It seemed a little small in the hole, but it worked. And then I'm going to close the door a bit and this should pull off. So I believe there's 2 hooks here and here, so I may well need both hands for this, so 2 seconds. So it's just on these 2 balls, so just popped it off, and then there's a couple of screws, cross-headed screws, 3, that should come off and give me, 4 sorry, that should go off and give me access to the bulbs, which I can then replace. Okay, so I found the bulb responsible, which was the bottom one, this one I believe. So put it all back together. Same on the right hand side, I believe it's the right reverse light out, which might be a similar bulb. I've just got the other side open and it seems to be the exact same bulb again. So back to the front of the van to look at the rust transfer thing that I put on, see if that's done anything. So it looks black now, no longer rust coloured. Check the other ones. Bigger ones. Yeah, so it looks like the only place that it's shown like rust colour is on the paint, where the paint's been stained a bit. And so it looks like it's done its job. And so what I'm going to do now is put on the primer, and then once that's on we can leave it for the night to set. So I've just seen on these ones it says pull for nib, and I've just given it a proper yank on this one and it's come off, and then you've got like a little fine nib. So that it literally doesn't say it anywhere on this bottle or anywhere on the instructions, but yeah, that's what I thought it should be, rather than giving me that big brush. But anyway, we're done and past that point now, so now I need to figure out which one of these I use first. So it's a primer that I'm after. Okay, so that's the first run over done with the primer. Let's try to put it on as little as possible along the front here. It says put on sparingly, leave it overnight to dry, then give it light sand and be ready for the paintwork. But this is all experimental to me. As I said, I don't expect perfect results. I just want to sort of tidy it up and stop any sort of rust forming or anything like that. Little break. 2 days later, this is where we're at. The light for the one of the lights bulbs being out is still on. I've checked the back and everything seems to be working right now except for the number plate light. So I've ordered one of those. I'm waiting for it to arrive in the next couple of days. For the stone chips, where we're up to now is I've done the primer. We need to sand it back so it's nice and flat, and then do the coat, top coat, and then again leave it 24 hours and do the lacquer. So let's get straight onto that. So this is, as the instructions say, the special abrasive tool. That side's smooth, the grey side's a bit rough, so I presume it's just like a really fine sandpaper. I've brought wet dry sandpaper, which I may move on to if this is no good, but we'll give it a go. Right, that's no good. I'm just going to get the wet dry sandpaper out and use that. So that's all the sanding done, so everything's smooth now. It just needs like a wash and a wipe, as you can see. Now I think it's appropriate to say that I haven't actually done all of them. I've just done what I would regard as the worst ones and the ones that were starting to show rust underneath. So there is actually a lot more, and ideally the whole front end would need repainting, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to try to sort it this way. Now my biggest concern at the minute is obviously the areas where I've sanded. I know for a fact that I'm going to have like a dull patch where I've sanded, and I'm not really sure how to bring that back to life, if that is possible. I've seen like paint videos where they'll lightly sand the top coat to bring the lacquer back to life, but I don't know how to do that. Basically, I don't know paint, and to be honest, it's not really my thing and not really an interest to me. I'm literally just trying to prolong the life of the van and make it look as clean as possible, but I fully expect to have lots of little circles of scratched marks from where I've done that to smooth it all out. But anyways, next I'm going to clean it all up with the water and the cloth I've got, and then we're going to put on the layer of paint. So let's do this. So after cleaning the area, it's exactly what I thought. So I've got all those little squares, circles. I don't see how the lacquer is going to fix that. But like I said, I'd rather have that than have the rust coming through anyway. So, and like I said, it's all experimentation. So next we're going to do is the colour pen, colouring the primer. Okay, so the nib has just come out of here, so I can't do it finally like I was going to do, so I'm just going to be left with the brush now. So I'm trying to see without the sunlight. So this is where we're up to. It was a lot harder to do without the nib and just using the brush, because you can't be very precise with the brush, but obviously the nib didn't come out of the packet when I pulled the top off. So I mean, it's a little bit bumpy. There's not a lot I can do about it now. I might try and actually sand it again before putting the lacquer on, just to try to smoothen it out a little bit. So obviously the surface is a little bit bumpy, not very perfect, which I think will show up quite bad. So I'm going to leave it 24 hours. I'm going to sand it down again to hopefully get it to be nice and smooth, or at least a lot better than what it is now. And then once I've done that, put the lacquer on, and then it says in the instructions that this soft side is a buffer, apparently. So that may well buff to get rid of the bits where it's been sanded, but to be honest, I highly doubt it. I think it needs a proper machine on it to cut through that and bring the shine back out. What are we, day 3 now? So I think I said in the last video where I tried to paint the wing mirrors, remind me to never ever paint again. I don't have the space to do it. I find it frustrating. It's not something that I enjoy at all. But anyways, positive note, this should be the last day we've got to do it. It should be finished by today. And also the light for the number plate recess has come, so we'll fit that first, get that in, see if the light still comes on the dashboard. Fingers crossed that it doesn't, because everything else seems to be sorted now. And then go back and I'll tell you what we're going to do on the stone chips. Okay, so that's the new one in there. Let's see if it works. Nope, the light has come back on, so let's see if it's lit up where it's meant to be. And it's still out for some reason. Well, that's odd. So this has gone from a brand new bulb that came with it, and now it's gone all milky once it's been in there and turned on. It was clear before, just like this one, and now it's super milky. What? I don't even know what that means. Change it over now for the other one that came with the packs. It came in a pack of 2, so it's got their new battery in. So let's see if this does the same thing. So it's turned on with it on. We turn the lights on. So it's still on. So let me see what's going on at the back. No, so this is off. This is frustrating. And so this one now, nothing's happened to it, but let's change a bulb in this one and try this one again. Let's try third time lucky. So it's off because the lights are off. Full beam. And back on. Just try to clean the connections inside. And I've noticed that if I push it up high, then it goes on and stays on. So what I need to do is figure out, if I screw it in, is it going to stay on or is it going to be off? Do I need to give the connections a bit of a better clean first of all before I do that? and being that it's just as I've spoken turned itself on there, I'll give the connections a bit of a better clean, and then I'll come back and screw them in, and hopefully it'll work properly this time. Okay, so now it's screwed in, let's see if it works this time. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then turn the lights on. It's going to stay off. Okay, check the back. Okay, we're winning. It was just the contacts were a bit grubby because of water must have been getting in and causing a bit of corrosion. So cleaned up the contact and now it's working. So this is where we're at on the front, and so I've watched some detailing videos, and this is basically like the most extreme form of paint correction. So what I'm going to do is take a 2,500 grit and again sand down this so these parts are nice and smooth, and then we've got some compound. At such short notice, this was the best I could get, so hopefully this will work. And I don't have a machine or compound pads to do it with, so I'm just going to use a bit of elbow grease, and hopefully it'll at least get some of the shine back in the areas where I've sanded. But my understanding is that's the most severe form of paint restoration. So it would be polish, then compound, then wet sand, and obviously wet sand, then compound, then polish to bring it up nice. With a machine, we're just going to use a bit of elbow grease and fingers crossed that it works, and fingers crossed that this is good enough. Clarity restorer, and I've been reading about it, so fingers crossed it does the job for me, or at least makes it look better than it is at the minute. So just gone over, sanded everything out so it's nice and smooth. And one thing that isn't mentioned is in the instructions is if you go back and sand it to the point where it's nice and smooth again, you've just got the base layer and not the top coat. So now I'm back where I was at the very beginning with the base layer. So you've seen where I've got to so far, trying to resurrect this this stone chips, and I watched some vlogs the other night on it as well, and basically all you need to do is just get a little nib and just put a little bit of paint in the area where it needs it. So this whole 3-step system thing is an absolute waste of time. So I don't call companies or anything like that on my vlogs, but just don't waste your money with that. Honestly, it's an absolute waste of time. It's not the correct procedure, it's not the correct method. Like when you saw I pulled the pen off, the nib didn't even come off with it. So yeah, anyways, you've seen how the van looks. I'm fully expecting now to have to pay for the front to be resprayed, basically to make it look decent. My only saving grace now is this, which, like I said, I think it's just a generic compound. I don't think, because I don't have the proper like disc with the compound pad on, or I don't know what this compares to like the professional stuff either. So this is like the only thing I've got now that may be a saving grace to me. But I'm like 99% sure the front of the van's gonna have to get repainted, which is a load of money that I didn't want to spend. And I thought I could just tidy it up a little bit, but it turns out not so much. I think if I'd have just had a little nib and gone in, I would have been way better than what I am now. But it is what it is. You only learn by failure, pretty much. So let's go put this on and see if it recovers it at all. So this product is the first decent product that I've actually shown on this video. So it's not complete, obviously, like it's not completely sorted, but you'd have to this up. Firstly, when I sanded back to smooth off the paint, obviously it just took it down, so now we're at the primer level. So this is just the primer that I put on originally, but if I put the paint on, it leaves a lump on the surface, which is what I'm saying. You just need the paint, you don't need the primer and all that bullshit that comes with the other stuff. So I'm stuck at this level and I'm going to leave it at this level, but this has been done and this one has been done. And if you step away, you'd be hard pushed to see that in the paint. And to give you an idea of what we're working with, so I thought I would do a before and after. So we've got this here, and I'm gonna literally just grab that, wipe it, and I'll just show you. So just literally, and I know this probably isn't the correct way to do it, just kind of over this at this point, to be honest, but and that's where we end up with. So untouched here, just seen what's happened to this one, and I've got this over here. So, and you can just faintly see around the edge where it was, but bear in mind this is just a quick application. I'm going to do it properly tomorrow off camera, but this is just to try to recover what I've done with the other thing. I've given up on trying to make it look tidier than it is. Obviously stone chips filled in, but yeah, work our way through this and then see if we can get to the point where we've not got these all over the front of the van. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. The product for the stone chips was absolute garbage. And doing a bit of research online and things like that, literally you only need the colour that you want, and you just need to drop a little bit in, and that's literally the only thing you can do for it, other than a full-on repaint of the front. So depending upon how bad it is, they're kind of your only options as far as I'm aware from my research. Definitely wouldn't use it again. I'm kind of no further forward than I was at the start of the video, essentially. The Meguires stuff, the compound, that from putting it on seems really good. You can still see a couple of areas where obviously I did the wet sanding, but another application and I think that'll pretty much be where it needs to be. Obviously, again, from my understanding and doing research online, it's like the most severe form of paint. I forgot the word now. Paint. It's the most severe form. There's the most severe way to recover paint after it's been damaged, and shouldn't be done too often, because obviously with paint you've only got a certain thickness. But I'll show you what it looks like now. It kind of, like I said, just looks like it did at the start. There's a couple of areas where you can faintly see where I've wet sanded, but in all honesty, compared with where it was sort of 2 hours ago, not that bothered. And maybe another application after I wash it, because it needs a wash. But there, so you know, we've got the stone chips that I had, which unfortunately show, but there's none of the dark hazy areas anymore, and I presume that's here to stay. I presume, you know, it's not just going to wear off, and I presume that's here to stay. I presume it's not just going to wear off when the product wears off. I presume it'll stay as it is, because like I said, the compound isn't abrasive. So although I think that one's got some polish in, the abrasive to get rid of the dullness off the top and bring back the shine, and so that should be it sorted, thank God. Oh, I'm glad that one's over. Please remind me never to do painting again. I absolutely, like, it's just not my thing. It's not enjoyable. I struggle with the preparation process and doing that as well, because I don't have a clean area in order to do it. If I need to leave it overnight, basically, like I said before, the car's outside overnight, so it's just all of these problems that will lead to what is not a great finish. So yeah, I don't know why I forgot that from doing the wing mirrors and having to wait like 7 months to do the wing mirrors because of the weather. But yeah, just if I ever see a mention painting again, just please be like, don't do it. Anyways, Hope you have a good one. I'll see you soon for my next video. In a bit. Bye bye.